Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jerove, the only Jerove in the world. Google it. And we're here with...
Man like Castle, what you saying?
We don't know when this is going to come out, so whenever it does come out...
2 to 3 business years, you never know.
Yeah, 2 to 3 business years. When it comes out, it's out. So today, this is a freestyle. It is currently 4:02 AM. And it is the 18th of May? Technically the 19th of May right now. And yeah, we just wanted to record this. We don't know where we're going, but let's just take it away. So, just for some context, me and Kasim, we've known each other since 2020, the beginning of both of our journeys, and it's been a pretty mad one. A lot of things have happened, and yeah, let's talk about the 3 biggest lessons learned in the past 3 years. Let's start off with you. What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned?
I'd say, I mean, it sounds, I said it multiple times the last couple of weeks, but I'd say the biggest lesson that I've learned has been truly understanding what it means to love yourself and how much it actually impacts everything in your life, not just how happy you feel or how much you love yourself. Like that it's a very surface level thing to just think that loving yourself just means just loving yourself, or just means being happy, or like being happy with who you are. It's like the fundamental key of unlocking your true potential in life, and that means, for example, I don't say there's so many more examples I can give. Like, an example can be, if you truly love yourself, you will never let yourself procrastinate, and you will love yourself so much that you value your mission, you value you value the value that you can give in the world, and you know like what that can, what you can actually be to people, how you can help people, even on a small scale. It doesn't matter what you do. You know that you can make people proud, and you can make yourself proud. And a lot of people get stuck in this very toxic mindset, especially a lot of entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs are online, especially. Get stuck in a mindset of not being toxic, but living in a bubble, or like being locked in a room, thinking like it's the trenches. That's part of the process. It's not really, man. It's really like you do not have to live your life unhappy. I know people, like, for example, Tate will say like happiness doesn't matter. To a certain extent, he's not wrong, but it's also, I think people like that are very troubled themselves. And I think when it comes to happiness, you can always be happy if you want to. It is a choice, and that's one big thing as well. Like everything that happens in your life is, you get to write it. You get to decide whether today is a bad day, tomorrow's a good day. Today you get your stuff done, tomorrow you don't get your stuff done. Like so I feel like loving yourself and truly understanding what that actually means. Loving yourself is a very umbrella term, vague term, but so much comes under that. And I feel like when you truly understand what all this means, and how to actually implement it in day-to-day life, and also not just do that, but also experience what it truly does for you. I had this big experience recently where I was never really told it. I wasn't like, nobody came to me and said you should love yourself. I just, through this experience that I had, that was the biggest takeaway. It was just pretty much on my brain telling me how important that is. So I feel like that's the biggest thing for sure. Second biggest thing is to always be very open to everything, especially when you're young. I mean, no matter what age you are, never be closed-minded and think that you know better. I think it comes under, it comes under ego as well. The understanding how to deal with your ego and manage your ego, and when to have an ego, when to not have an ego. Because especially as a man, you need an ego to a certain extent. You need ambition. You need to be egotistical in a way where internally you know that you can be the best. The best at whatever you do. For example, that could be one. Like for example, starting an agency. The way I started my news agency is I came into it thinking, okay, I know that my ego, obviously it's egotistical, but I didn't really say this to the world. I just said to myself, I know that, okay, I can choose whatever industry, whatever service that I want, and I can be the best at it if I put my time into it. So which one do I want to choose? And then when I chose, then I told myself and looked at all the other competitors I had, I guess, or all the other competition, and I said, I can be better than all these people, all these agencies. I can be the top of this industry. And that's like ambition and ego come together. But when it comes to ego, people don't realize that ego isn't just about, not loving yourself. It isn't just about kind of like hyping yourself up. It's a lot to do with also like you live your life with like a, how you say, like a curtain, you know. Like, I know, like a ego's like a, it like just blinds you. Your ego just blinds you, and you operate from a mode of being very very egotistical. So therefore, your ego won't let you do things that you want to do and be your true self. For example, for me, the one that's a bit deep, but for example, for me, my ego. So with ego comes things like you assuming the way that people think about you. You assuming things, you know, when they aren't actually true. Your brain makes it as if it was makes you believe as if it was true. So for example, for me, like there was a whole new video in itself talking about like my situation, like my relationship with my parents growing up. But I had this. My ego was so. It wasn't like I knew this was happening, but my ego was so uncontrollable that I couldn't, you know, bring myself to say the words "I love you" to my parents just for no reason. You know, obviously for a reason I maybe could have, but like for no reason I couldn't. My ego just couldn't let me, and it wasn't necessarily because I thought it was a pussy thing to say. It wasn't that kind of ego. It was more of a case of it just blinded me, and it's really hard to explain, I guess, but it's just kind of a case where I assumed that they don't want to hear those words, even though of course, like what parent doesn't want to hear it, and it's common sense. But my ego kind of like made me live in a bubble in my head where I thought that nobody wanted to hear, you know, anything from me. Nobody wants to speak to me. There's no point in me saying I love you because they won't appreciate it. All this different stupid shit, like you're just assuming stuff. That's a big thing as well. So the first thing is loving yourself, understanding what it means. There's loads of ways you can do that. Read books. One book that I'm listening to right now is like The Gifts of Imperfection, I think it's called. It's a lot to do with loving yourself and what that means. Listen to that book for sure. Second thing is be open. Be very open to everything. For me, the biggest things I've been open to experiences for sure. Experiences is the biggest thing. And experiences, what I mean by that is mainly spiritual experiences, meditations, different types of meditations, ceremonies, not in a weird way, just like meditation ceremonies, different stuff like that can really, that you know, it can it could have a possibility of helping you. Somebody that you somewhat trust is telling you that you should try this. I was always the guy that was open to it, not like for example with drugs, but more for the case of like experiences, you know, different types of meditation, traveling to a different country, seeing a different place, being in a different place. I was never be stubborn to like stay in your own ways. Stubbornness is complacency at the end of the day. It's the fear of not wanting to change who you are, because the fear of not knowing what will be, you know, not knowing what that will entail. But if you just remove the fear of what will happen in the future, and remove the worries about what happened in the past, and you live a life only living in the present, and that's truly a happy life. And that's the majority of people's stress and procrastination and all this other stuff that goes on in people's lives that ruins their life and makes them unhappy or unproductive or whatever. It all stems from worrying about the future, or having, you know, being scared about the future or what may happen, or worrying about the past, or continuing to live in the past. Living in the present is the biggest. I mean, if you live in the present, you cannot be unhappy because nothing actually matters, and that's one big thing as well. You have to realize that nothing actually matters in the world. If somebody thinks a certain way, it doesn't really matter. If something happens to you, stop thinking that it happens to you. Like, think of it in a way where it happens for you. You can always learn from whatever happens to you or what happens in your life. So yeah, there's loads of different points there, but I guess the overall three is love yourself, understand what it means. Second, be open, and third, try to understand how to control your ego and when it has a place and when it doesn't have a place. And then the more you understand that, more you understand all those two things, the more you can grow in ways you don't actually understand. Yeah, it's hard for me to actually explain how much you can grow as a person. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest things that I've been blessed enough to understand at my young age. And the more you understand that, the sooner the better, really, and the better life you'll have. So yeah, man, I can go to like 10 more hours of detail, but that's enough for now.
Please, more detail. No, that was good. That's a lot of very insightful information that you've condensed. So I'm sure the people watching this will really appreciate that. And since it is, 4 a.m. and we wanted to just make the most of this time, because I'm just another addition, just for some context. I've not seen Kasim since the beginning of September 2022, and before that was also it was almost a year since I saw you.
Yeah.
And this is just a good example of, if you are, let's say, having a friendship with someone that's also on the same journey as you, I think that you need to really value that and cherish that, because a lot of people, when it comes to entrepreneurship, it can be very lonely, and when we're not together, we don't message each other every day, but we always pick up where we left off. It's the brotherly love is always there, and it's great to have a brother like you in my life right now, because one thing is that I always am grateful for is the great friendship that we've had, and the fact that we've both been able to see each other's journeys, and like we do hold each other accountable, not every single day, but as in like every time we check in, we're like, oh, you know, how's things, hope you're good, and we congratulate each other. And I think for those that are watching right now, if you are especially at the beginning of your journey, build your relationship with 1 or 2 people, 3 people that are all that you really align with, that your visions align with, in terms of like you want to achieve like certain things by certain ages, and you have moral values and core values that align with each other. I think that's what you need. You don't need to focus on having loads and tons of friends and stuff like that. It's always good to have a good network, but I personally don't give my energy off to many people.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal to anyone. It's just that I need to be very mindful of who I open up to, who I give my energy to, because at the end of the day, where focus goes, energy flows. If your focus is dispersed, which I will admit, there's been certain times of my entrepreneurial journey where my focus was everywhere, like even recently, you know. I've recently just been grieving and having to deal with a lot of personal stuff, but it's all about being self-aware, being aware of what you need to work on, and as long as you're aware, then that's good, because it's the worst thing that could happen is if you're blind and you are naive or too arrogant to realize like, yo, you have things that you need to improve on, things that you need to work on. And yeah, I mean, I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but long story short, what I'm trying to say is don't seek validation from too many people. Like that's my first lesson. Don't seek validation from everyone. The reason being is, you might have seen my interview when I started to see a bit of success. I used to always seek validation from people, and I mean, Kasim, you've seen that firsthand when it was our like first year in entrepreneurship. Like I tried to live up to the same level as Kasim at the time and other people that were already ahead of me, and that just had a negative effect on me, which is why I stopped making noise on social media, and I had to sit down with Kasim and our other friend at the time, Josh, and they were just like, yo, Jerome, you need to go home, you need to work on yourself, and you'll have a story to tell. Just right now, you need to like really do some deep internal changes, which I've been able to scale my business, which is great. However, this leads into the second point. You need to take urgency, and right now, lately, I'll be honest, I have not been taking urgency, nowhere near as much as I should have, but I've still seen a lot of success, respectively, in comparison to where I was before. So now that I am about to take a lot more urgency and a lot more action and just getting things done, you're literally gonna see, I'm speaking into existence, like the transformation that I'm personally gonna have, and being able to not only impact my clients' lives, but also impact you guys that are watching this piece of content. And then to quickly summarize it, I would say the third lesson I've learned in the past 3 years of my entrepreneurial journey, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, I would say just be present. Be present. One thing I've learned is you don't realize how far you've come unless you actually be present and you reflect on what's been happening. There's been many obstacles in my journey, like even recently, so many obstacles, and you need to remind yourself of like the things that you're proud of, that you have been able to achieve, because a lot of people won't even realize that the amount of value that they've already brought into the world in terms of like their respective field, and then they beat themselves up for, you know, let's say having a bad few weeks or maybe even a month or two, and then they don't actually end up picking up momentum again because they're beating themselves up too much. But if you remind yourself like, oh, I've been able to overcome this adversity in the past, then that's one way in which you can like kind of boost and at least start to take the right steps to take control of your life again, being able to take the right necessary next action steps in order to go ahead and excel in life. So I would say those are the 3 lessons off the top of my head right now. There's many more lessons, like Kasim said, that I'd like to share, but right now I'm just saying what's ever in my mind. I might even not even release this on public on YouTube. Who knows? It might be on a private community, but whoever's watching it, just make sure that you go ahead, learn from the people that are in a position that you would like to be in, because this could probably be a different YouTube video right now that we can start. But understanding and learning from the experience of people that have walked before you so that you guys can run is so valuable. For example, me and Kasim have been having really deep talks lately, and he currently hangs out with people that are, you know, a lot older than him, around 10 years plus, and he's able to get insights from someone that has 10 years on him. So he's able to live the main principles learned from that person from their past decade, and he's able to synthesize that and take action on that in maybe an hour or two with conversation with these people. So that can kind of segue into the next topic, like what have you been doing right now to accelerate your journey? Because you're 20 years old, bro. I started my journey at 20. I'm 23 now. We have like a 2.5 year age gap / 3 years, and you've been able to see like crazy success, and you're just 20. So if you can talk about that kind of,
I feel like the reason that's good. The reason I like transformed that one really. I feel like it comes back to that point where I just said. I mean, honestly, the 3 points that I said are the reason as to why. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really love myself much, so that wasn't really a factor. That's something that I only recently learned. But I think the biggest thing is being open. Really, it has been something that I've recognized that ever since I started. The first decision I ever made that started my life, pretty much. You know, it sounds a bit corny, but my life did start when I turned 18. When I turned 18, that's what, I mean, maybe just before that, but like around turning 18, and my birthday, that was when that first decision I ever made, when I had my way of living my life. Before that, I had no real social life. I had no real friends that I'd go out with. I wasn't like a social person. I was very introverted, but I just didn't really have friends that would go out. So I'd just be on my Xbox all day. So I didn't really have a life, you know, especially in the outside world. So when my life started, the first ever decision I made was looking at someone that told me to do something, and I evaluated it, and I said, okay, I could be comfortable and just say no. The decision, by the way, was going to go to Dubai. It wasn't actually to move to Dubai. It was just to go there, just see it. A friend that I had at the time that I considered like a big brother. I was only 17. Obviously, I turned 18 then I could go, but I was 17 when I made the decision to do it, because I made my first bit of money. And I think from that decision onwards, I've always made, I never consciously done it, but I've always known that I'm very open to everything, even the smallest things. even just listen to somebody talk. Like just be open to it. And what that's done for me, along with other things, has made it so that my life is every month, honestly, every month of my life, like I'm living a whole new different life. I'm a whole new person. The way I'm being day to day, the way I think, my perspective on the world, my perspective on myself, on different things, could be relationships, could be friends, could be life, could be business. Every single month since I turned 18, I completely transformed the way I am. In different ways, obviously, not always the same way every single time. And it doesn't always have to mean about money. Like, that's one big thing as well. People always think about growth only means making more money. Money is such like a... When you remove the mindset of caring about getting to a certain money goal, and instead you shift that mindset and kind of like almost like transcend and ascend that mindset to a mindset where you're thinking, I'm not trying to, you have a mission, you have a long-term vision, like all this kind of stuff, and you choose your mission. Part of it is to be of service to someone or to the world, whatever it could be, to some specific type of people. And that in itself, like that's also part of loving yourself, I guess. But that in itself, having a mission that goes that deep, being of service to the world, and whatever way you want to be a sort of service to them, that in itself is like, that should be the motivator. That makes sense? Not the motivator, but that should be the goal. The goal is to not care about the outcome in terms of materialistic outcome. That's also one big thing that I think of. To begin with, of course, I wasn't very focused on materialistic stuff, but I was around so much because I was in a place like Dubai, which is like just 100% materialism. I feel like I can't remember the exact point I was saying, but yeah, just be open, and that will cause you to almost like the universe. It's about as well like kind of attracting the right things into your life, and if you're open to accept what the universe or whatever is giving to you, then I think that's when something really special happens. Quite often, not just here and there every couple of years, but every single month it could be. Obviously, I don't really know many other people who have the same experiences, so maybe I've just been blessed, but I'm pretty sure you can unlock the same life as I've been living and experiencing if you just stay open, love yourself. You should accept and invite like uncomfortable experiences. You shouldn't just try to be comfortable all the time. Especially when you're any age, but especially when you're young. Like, you should not be comfortable. What's comfortable? And also, I forgot the point I was trying to make was that if you focus your life and your goals and your mission around things that go far past the vibrations and the frequencies of just materialistic stuff like money, cars, apartment, lifestyle, girlfriend, if you ascend past that, then all those things become consequences of reaching that goal, of transcending to that level. So for example, one of my I guess the overarching mission that I have is to push myself to pass my limits, so that I can then pass down that wisdom, experience, knowledge, insights, whatever else, and break it down in an understandable way to the young generation. So that in turn is such a powerful mission, and that in turn, that just removes the care about money. Making millions per month, or doesn't even matter per month, just making as much money as you can dream of. That is a consequence of doing that. Of course, if I'm going to be pushing myself to the limits, if I love myself enough and have a good enough internal ego to know that I am very ambitious and I don't deserve, but I'm capable of doing the most extraordinary things, then of course making millions, whatever else, is a consequence. And then a consequence of making millions and having this mindset and this way of living is having the cars you want, the lifestyle you want, the apartment you want, the girlfriend you want. It's like if you really stick to your mission, and that mission is a good mission, not just my mission is to my mission is just to, I don't know, even, it sounds a bit bad, but even your mission being just to retire your parents, it's not good enough. It's nice, it's very nice, it's a beautiful thing to say, but that should be a consequence of your overarching mission, your real deep mission, not just the mission of I want to make some money so I can have freedom and have financial freedom and give my parents financial freedom too. all that stuff, if you really want to be extraordinary, not just make 10, 15k a month, which is pretty small numbers in the, if you compare it to like the world. If you really want to be extraordinary in any certain way, and you don't want to be average, even average in terms of the entrepreneur space, obviously because we live in a certain bubble, like making 10, 15k a month is an insane thing to do, but I'm speaking on the level of like, do you really want to be extraordinary, especially as an entrepreneur? And then therefore those kind of numbers are not extraordinary. So if you want to be extraordinary, you have to live your life by a certain mission that you really fully align with, and that mission should mainly correlate with being of service to the world. It shouldn't correlate to do with being of service to yourself. That's one big thing that I've learned with being with monks last year. That's also only came from the fact that I was very open to experiences, and then that led me to spending time with like the same sort of monks that are in the same like a spiritual I don't know, kind of spiritual thing as people like Jay Shetty, same sort of group. That only came from me being open, and then it led to that somehow, and then I learned from that. The biggest thing when it comes to the questions around how should you live your life or how should you be happy, it always came back down to, in different ways, how can you be of service to the world. And when you are of service to the world, or even just specific amount of people, then that's when you are truly happy. And my way of being of service to the world was this, pushing myself to my limits in all aspects of my life, so that I can then pass down that wisdom, that experience, that knowledge to the younger generation, or whoever else. Doesn't even need to be younger. You can just be whoever watches and is blessed enough to watch. So yeah, that's one big thing. That's like how I've, I guess, changed so frequently, and had this life that I've been living in the last couple of years since I turned 18.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is going to be the first of many videos of me and Kasim together, because I'm going to wrap this video up right now. Kasim has come to visit me here in Manila. I've been living here for the past 69 days. Today's actually the 69th day of me being here. I've been counting. And yeah, Kasim's come to visit me because we haven't caught up, and you actually said to me you felt like you were called to come and see me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that you could have met, a lot of things that you could have done, but you chose to come here. So to end this video, why did you come and see me, and what is it that you want to get out of this trip? Because obviously this is probably going to end up being a series or whatever, but what is it? What is the intention for the next week of you being here? But yeah, first of all, what made you called to come and see me, and what is the intention for this trip moving forward? Because we've had so many deep conversations right now, and it would be nice if we documented it whilst we were in the rooftop bar and stuff like that, but yeah, we're here now. So
I feel like because I've been through a lot when it comes to like growth, like very extreme growth very quickly in a lot of ways, when you're in that kind of frequency, and when I say stuff like frequency, and when I say stuff like being called and the universe doing stuff, it sounds a bit esoteric, it sounds a bit like what the fuck is this guy talking about, but you really have to just be open, try to understand what I'm trying to say, and the words that I use doesn't make a difference, and also if I were in, probably if you're thinking the way I just said in terms of like what's this guy talking about, like this sounds so like just esoteric, I too thought the same. Like I thought the exact same, maybe like half a year ago, or maybe less than that, a few months ago. But it's only because I've had the experiences that I've had in Bali the last 2 months of my life, where I now fully understand what these words actually mean: frequencies, or vibrations, energies, being called, the universe doing things, doing what it does, all that kind of stuff. It does sound a bit weird, but just try to be open to it. So I've had a lot of experiences the last few months, like I said. The experiences have been absolutely life-changing. I've had multiple of them, luckily. And I feel like when you're on a certain wavelength and frequency, you then kind of, I mean, a big thing about how I know the difference between people in the world and how far they're going to go is if they are a giver or a taker, and like what's their true nature. And if I see that somebody true to their nature, at least right now, and obviously people can change, but for now, if they are just a taker, they will never be able to really be happy with themselves, because they'll always just be trying to chase the next thing to take, the next person to take advantage of, the next person to, or the next thing to, the next shiny object syndrome thing to then take and try to make money from, whatever else it can be, even the smallest things. And they don't do it intentionally; it's just their nature. And I feel like when you're on this frequency that I'm now on, luckily, because I've done all this stuff, and I don't know if you call it healing, but I've healed quite a lot of the traumas that I had and let go of a lot of the stuff, and I feel a lot more lighter because of it, and I feel a lot more like inspired and happy with life, and it's taken me to a place where I now feel like I can truly be of service to other people. I can pass down this blessing that I've been given by having these experiences that made me realize certain things. I can then pass on that growth that I've had to other people. And I've not really done it much yet. I've just commented about it to people that I've been around in Bali. But one thing that I realised is I'm not going to share too much, but like Jerome said, he's been through quite a lot. And I could just kind of like, not by anything he said or the way he said anything, but I could just kind of tell he needed someone. And not just someone just to be there and fuck around with, but someone to be real with. And I knew that I had been lucky enough to learn a lot of things that I know that he would want to learn. So I just felt called to not procrastinate on the idea of coming here when there was no really reason for me to come other than him being here. I was in Bali, my life was pretty good, but I did feel called to be here. I just felt like the universe, and this kept happening all different ways in my life. The universe started to push me in the direction of doing things that I always wanted to do, or what I was meant to do to make me feel truly happy, or to be of service. And it could be either or. So for example, one small example, which may sound weird, but one small example is that, for example, on Bali, but just where I came, I was meant to train Muay Thai with a personal trainer outside of a gym, just in like some sort of like park or football pitch, and the football pitch was not planned to be used, but it was used, so it was like too busy. And then out of nowhere, close to the point of just saying, we'll just do it another day, he said, would you want to train in the beach? And like normally I would just say no, because this is where ego comes into it as well. All the small things, like okay, maybe this is where like all the reasons you can give yourself. Oh no, it's gonna be too hot. Oh, I don't like training in the sand. Oh no, I don't want to get dirty. Oh, I don't want to get sandy. Oh, all this. Oh, I don't have a towel. All this different stuff. It's all your ego and assumptions just blinding you and not letting you be your true self. But then I just felt the universe like push me towards as obviously for me as well, like I had a dream. My dream was always to live next to a beach and wake up and go to the beach early in the morning and just like be there, be next to the sea and be with the sand and shit like this. It's always like a dream that I had, but I never was able to push myself when I was in places like Bali or even Dubai. I would never be able to push myself just to get up and just fucking go to the beach. I just never have I don't know what it was, but I just never loved myself enough to do that. And I felt like the universe pushed me down that path and made this trainer come into my life and say those words to me and make us do that, if you trained in the beach. And then I stayed there for like hours and hours, just doing nothing. I didn't take my phone. I mean, I had my phone with me, but I didn't really use my phone. I didn't have 4G. I was just kind of sitting there on the beach, just loving it, just because that's what I truly always wanted to do, but my ego would never let me actually go and do it. And I just felt like that's all different things like that. Wanting to come here was one of those things. The universe just pushed me to do something that I know is going to be the best thing for me to do, not just for me, because now I'm on this like level of energy where I actually like get happiness from seeing other people change, and not just change, but seeing other people like I don't know, transforming in their own way, or just maybe having realizations in some sort of way from my experiences, because my experiences are pretty similar to what other people experience it too. When it comes to like not loving yourself, it's a very common thing. When it comes to situations with their parents or relationships or anything like that, very common things that I've been through. But I've just been lucky enough to realise at a young age. So, and obviously not just young age, but just now. So I'm at a point where I can then pass that. I can just talk about the growth that I've had and hopefully it will inspire Joe or whoever else obviously in this video now, that you guys as well maybe. But I just felt called to come here and just not even just try to do anything, but just be present and just talk and just do whatever and just live life the same way we used to do back when we first started it. And the intentions wise, that was the biggest intention for me, just to be present, just to not, just be open, present, you know, be my true loving self that I know I need to be. Don't let myself go back into bad old habits that would make me then not be as available, not be like as emotionally or as not be emotionally available, or just not be as present and like loving enough for me to then pass that love on down to Joe, so he can feel, not just feel better, but just like move past this stage of his life where, you know, it wasn't the best stage of his life, and a lot of learning to take. So but yeah, other than that, nothing too much, honestly. That's one big thing for me, like coming to a new place. I don't really want to have expectations of what can happen, what we should do. Obviously, yes, there's some things like we obviously want to film some content, and because we'd be together, this very rare occurrence. So stuff like that is of course nice, but I try to not have expectations of what I want to happen when I go somewhere. I just like to go with the flow, and just as long as I stick to these certain things, like loving myself enough to make sure that I don't waste my time, don't sit on my phone, don't do all this bullshit, then I know that it's going to be a good time. And then whatever way comes, and I just accept whatever comes, and therefore I can learn things that I never thought I'd learn, and have experiences that I never thought I'd have, and understand things and realize things that I never thought I'd have, you know, never thought I'd ever need to realize. So yeah, that's the biggest intention, just to live life and be loving to myself, to others. And the other thing as well, you can't be loving to others unless you're loving to yourself. So you have to. So I took the time to love myself and understand what that truly meant for me, and then after that, I truly felt like I could do that for other people. I could pass that love on down to other people. Because if you are trying to love other people, or it's one big thing, people talk about loving, oh I love you, or like saying it with no meaning. But if you don't love yourself, you physically and emotionally, you cannot love somebody else. Maybe it's like on the surface level, but not deep down. You'll always project your own problems onto them. You'll always never be able to truly listen to them, truly understand the situation. You always judge and all this kind of shit. So yeah, love yourself first. Understand what that actually means. Read books, listen to books, watch videos, whatever else. Journal a lot as well. And then when you've done that work and you've healed in that way, then you can pass that love on down to other people. Your family, your relationships, your friends, whatever it may be. And yeah, that's pretty much what I came here to do.
Appreciate that a lot, man. Thanks for coming along.
Okay.
We're going to document this journey, and not only will we be able to look back at this and see how far we've also progressed, we're not going to wait for years to progress, but we're literally advancing, like you said, every week, every month. And I'm grateful that we're on this journey together. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and check us both out on socials. And if you haven't done so already, just show some love, not just to us, but to yourself. The theme of this trip is self-love, and you know, it's been a very tough time for me recently, and yeah, I'm putting this out there because I want to inspire people and also let them see that no one here lives a picture perfect life. Right? Some people may look at us externally and be like, yo, Kasim's traveling, he is in a great place, a great way of life, he's got a girlfriend, he's making good money, he's helping a lot of people out with business. But you recently have overcome traumas which even I did not know that you had, and I've known you for 3 years.
Even I didn't know I had.
Right?
Yeah.
And I also have traumas that I didn't know I had, and it just goes to show no one has a perfect life. No one should beat themselves up for having a tough time. Just be aware and take action on it.
Yeah, don't push it under the rug. Just deal with it. And journaling, meditating, all different stuff like this. Just be open to it. Stop thinking that your ego will probably most likely prevent you from actually. I may say to you, journal. I may say to you, love yourself, but your ego will make you not do those things. And watch that happen for 99% of you. That will, because it happened for me too. I was told. Who isn't told to love yourself? You know, from if you watch any videos, you'll eventually hear the words "love yourself" quite a lot. But your ego will block you from taking action on those words and understanding what they mean. And the same with even the smallest things like just journaling, or meditating, or anything else. So I feel like the biggest thing is your ego will block you from doing all these things that I'm telling you to do. But just if you can just at least do one of them, even just journaling, no structure, no overthinking. Stop overthinking it. Just get a piece of paper, just write some shit, man. Whatever's on your head. It doesn't have to have a structure. As long as you can just do something like that, that gets the ball rolling. And then the more you do stuff like that, the more you're increasing your frequency. I mean, let it going, just you're transcending, going higher, higher, higher. And if you stay on this higher frequency and you're living in a mode of goodness, then that's when special things can happen. You attract true happiness into your life in all different ways: money, success, business, relationships, lifestyle. All different things happen. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. Just take action on one of the things that I've said, just one, and then that will start a compound effect, where hopefully you can start to understand what it means to love yourself, and then that you can truly understand what that means when I say that loving yourself is the key to unlocking your true potential. So procrastination, motivation, inspiration, all those different, every single day-to-day stuff that you think that you may need, performance habits, you may need to read a book about it, none of that matters when you love yourself, because loving yourself is the key to all of that. Just not mastering, just not making a difference in your life. You can have these negative thoughts, but you love yourself enough to understand which ones to give energy to, for example. And that, if you can do that, then fuck, man, no bad thoughts can ever take control of you. You have control over your thoughts, and because your mind dictates your life. So if you have control over your mind by loving yourself enough to understand why you're thinking certain thoughts, and not just say, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening? Like, well, why am I thinking this? And you have the awareness and the perspicacity and the love for yourself enough to break that down, deal with it, journal about it, heal from it, and then just move on and let go, and stop worrying about the past, stop caring about the future or fearing the future. Just live in the present, and then everything will come to you. Essentially, sounds a bit mad, but it really does happen. So yeah, best way.
Best way, boss. So thank you for watching. Stay hydrated, stay motivated, and stay blessed. Deuces.